Okay, so now that we've learned how to do the text boxes, combo boxes, and buttons, we're going to move on to subforms. Subforms are actually kind of like the opposite of the combo boxes. So with the combo boxes, we were saying that products, for example, is really great, or like orders where you have these, they're the many side of one-to-many. So they are the holder of foreign keys for other tables, whereas tables like employees and suppliers aren't that good because they're only the one side, and so they can't pull up anything in a combo box. The opposite is going to be true for our subforms. So what is a subform? Let's pull up, I believe orders had an example, yes. So if you look at orders, we have all of these different products here with their unit prices, quantities. That should look familiar here as our order details, right? So this is that dreaded receipt situation, and the why is the order details separate from the order issue that we were having with our ERDs. This is why, because all of this information belongs to the orders, and each order can have multiple order lines or order details, however you want to think about it. So as we move through all of these, you can see that there's, and you see there's a little scroll bar here. You can see there's different numbers of details in here. There's a lot of order details in the entire thing, or a lot of orders, and then obviously a lot of order details going along with those because they all have at least one, but most have multiples, right? So this is what's called the subform. The thing that it's sitting inside is called the main form. So in order to make these, it has to be a one-to-many relationship with the many side is going to be inside of the one side. Okay, so thinking back to this really janky employee table that we've been messing around with, and we've learned that the combo box is not a great idea because it's on the wrong side of that thing. What we can do from the employees is look up how many orders that employee has been responsible for. That's actually a pretty easy one to do. So how are we going to do this? So the first thing you need to know is that each of the forms, the main form and the subform, are actual legitimate forms unto themselves. Okay, that means that we have our main form already started here, but what we're missing is the actual subform itself. Okay, so we're going to set that aside then. Looking at this, we can decide what we want to put on it. So we're probably going to want to have like the order IDs and all this kind of stuff, dates, maybe the date that it's shipped. So minimally, that information might make sense, right? Okay, so let's do form. Actually, let's be lazy and use the wizards because we haven't really messed with that at all yet. Okay, so the question I feel like you might have on your mind is, do I care whether you use the wizards or if you do it the hard way that we've been doing? I'd like you to know how to do it the hard way because different platforms do different things, and the better understanding you have of what you're doing, the better. But if you use the wizards, or even use a blend of wizards and the other, that's fine. Like, I'm not going to be picky about it. This is part of the product that we're using. So there you go. Okay, so we're going to do the order table. Let's grab order ID, customer ID. Let's So the date, the order date, let's do the shipped date. And that's it. Nice and simple. We're actually going to use the datasheet view. I'll show you where to fix that if you're not doing the wizard. We're going to do the orders. You'll often see these named subform, order subform, with the subform to signify so that on your forms list it actually shows up like that. And this is what we have here. Okay, so where is the default view? This is showing the data sheet. You can switch this around to be different ones. And I think normally it shows up as a single form. We want data sheet for this purpose. If you wanted to, like, say that this was like in the order form, this one, they have a derive field here of basically the unit price times the quantity equals the extended price and minus the discount. So you can add more columns to this. You have the power because you know how to do SQL. So we could go into here, and you see it lays it out differently once you get into here, and you could like add in another text box and put a query into that. You've seen how to do all these pieces before. It's just putting it together that's the challenge. Okay, so let's go back to that. We don't want form view, datasheet view. Okay, so that's what we want at the end of the day. Okay, so let's close it out, save it. Let's go to that. Okay, so I'm going to open up our employees one. We're going to move to design view, and this can actually drag and drop. Isn't that cool? It's the little things in life, y'all. Okay, so we're gonna move that over to be sensible-ish. It's got an awful name because it's named our table name. So these are call this orders made. This employee made these orders. Great. Let's look at what that looks like at this moment. So you'll see here. Oh, okay. We probably actually don't need that employee thing in there because that will actually match Nancy up there. Got some spacing issues going on, and we've got basically what looks like the Cartesian plane issue going on. So if you go, oh, it automatically linked it for us. That's cool. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, we can see that we've got a lot of orders for each employee, so we should sensibly make this longer. And then a couple things here. So let's go to the properties. Okay, so you can see that these are actually already connected together. Where is our? Let's see. Oh, your form. There we go. Where is the thing? I'm looking for a thing that says child and master. And there's so much stuff in here that it's really easy not to see stuff. Make sure it's in the right one. Okay, I had to pause for a second while I found this thing. So if you go to the main form, And then you see up here where it says form, our subform is an object inside of the main form called order subform, which is why naming it with that subform is really good idea. Switch over to there. Now we can see it. So you can see that it's linked right here. It says link master field and link child field. So this is our primary key and our foreign key connection. If this was empty, then we'd actually get basically like a Cartesian cross where all of the orders would be listed there instead of being keyed to the employee ID. So you see, you could have selected anything in here, but Access is actually really smart and it'll try to sense it for you, and it's usually right. So, which is cool because you don't even have to use the wizard and it's still thinking for you, which is perfect. Okay, so know how to find that in case that comes up for you, but yeah, usually it'll just work fine. Okay, so that is a subfield, and that just functions just the same as this one that we have in here. So if we want to go back and do edits in there, let's see what happens if we go in here and say, you know what, we actually don't need to see the employee ID. Let's see what happens. Oh, whoa, that's not what I meant to click, sorry. Okay, click that, get rid of that, save the changes there, click that. Let's see what subform looks like. Subform now does not show employee. What happened over an employee? Look at that. It also changed. So it knew. Oh, it's just rotating through. Okay, what's some other cool things or necessary things that we should be doing for this is we can see that our field was too wide. So just like before, you'd want to capture this box, and it's really hard to tell what you need in the design view because it has this going on, which is a little annoying. Probably fix that. So there you go. So you can figure out how wide you need these to end up being and make those adjustments so that your finished product is going to be nice. You can adjust those in the properties view, just like any other object. Okay, so now what are we going to do about Libre? I'm going to pause for just a second as I switch programs here. Okay, so for Libre, I tried to see if the same tricks worked, basically, and the answer was no. It will not let you drag and drop stuff from the forms over into the or from here into a form. As of now, the only way I know how to do it is just to simply use the wizard, which the wizard is not awful. I mean, you tell it your original table. So like say that we wanted to see all the students enrolled in class. So start with that. We can add the subform. You can do either way there. We can use queries, which is always a little cooler than using these, but these are faster. We care about this stuff. We don't care about the credits. Here we need to connect student ID to student ID. If we had more complex connections going on, if we had multiple tables going on, then we'd have to do more, but we don't have any other keys to connect. And it's populating over here. So here, the main form, usually you want to use one of these for the original info, and you can see it's trying to be creative for you, which is kind of interesting. And then the subform is usually that format, but you could actually do other formats. It's just it's very common to see it this way, especially if you're going to have a really long list. That's just, yeah. So you think students, you're going to have like 30 people in the class or whatnot. That's kind of the format that you'd want. And then you can specify, just as before, do we want to modify stuff, delete stuff? We can add protections. We can add style to it from here. We can name it testing subforms. And there we go. So we could get rid of some of this information if we wanted to. But yeah, that's basically, I think I created a really long one, lame one, because it's on the enrollment instead of the one it should have really been on as the course. So this is this is what you get for doing things quick. So, but you got the idea of just doing it really quick with Wizard. Yeah, can you do it manually is my next question, but I don't know. So the key is on both of these is to make sure that you have the direction correct in terms of the one-to-manys, and just remembering that that it's the opposite of the control boxes. And that's it. And then you have to have those connections correct.